Hey guys, Dave here. Kind of obviously, since this is going up mostly on Facebook and no one's going to find this on YouTube, I ended up having to do something a little bit different with this. I was originally going to condense this video down to 1 minute, post it on Instagram, and just leave it silent so you didn't have to listen to me talk. But unfortunately, that resulted in a tremendous amount of frame dropping, and I wasn't okay with that. It looked really gross, and so instead, I decided to take something that I've wanted to do for a while, which is kind of do a little vlog about this experience of doing 365 days of art, because it has definitely been an experience. And so I figured this was my chance. So instead, this is only sped up a little bit, comparatively speaking, it's about 2.5 times. And so, unfortunately, you're stuck with me for the next 14 or so minutes. Anyway, so this has been such a interesting, rewarding experience, and one out of those two is pretty much a cop out, unfortunately. But it's also pretty hard to really put into words. It has definitely been rewarding, though. And I might get into that a little bit later, but it has been so interesting to do on such a variety of levels. So part of it is, gosh, part of it being interesting is just, I guess, we'll start with the external and just the reactions you get when you say, that you're doing this. Because occasionally people will ask, oh, what do you do? Or so how you been, Dave? Or otherwise, and it's like, oh, pretty good, doing this art thing, and so I make a piece every single day. Although, admittedly, sometimes that piece is, it's something as simple as a well-framed photograph or a poorly framed photograph. Or my favorite is when I'm out, hanging out with friends and we go to a bar and I forget to make something and I have to go, excuse me, can I get a napkin? Like a pen, please? Thanks. And then I have to scroll something out really fast, uh, which is kind of silly. But the reactions you get, and it's been very interesting to hear people's opinions and otherwise. I hear a lot of, oh, I couldn't do that, uh, which I find kind of disheartening in a lot of ways. One thing that this has taught me is that drawing is a mechanical skill. Anyone can learn how to draw, and so I fully believe that anyone could do this. At the end of the day, I'm not special, basically. But there's also been a lot of kind of I don't know, just weird and interesting things that have happened on my end. A lot of kind of self-realizations because when you spend 4+ hours on a piece, you do end up kind of doing some internal monologuing and thinking about stuff and confronting various bits and bobs of yourself, even if you got music in the background. Um, you can't really make that go away. And so some of them have been, we'll keep them mostly innocent just for the sake of, you know, not being like really weird and sobby. But so even something as simple as and related to art as the style that I like to do. I thought I was always striving to achieve photorealism. Like that was my thing. I love photorealistic artwork. It's so impressive. Can't do it, but can't do it. And one of the things I realized is that I didn't like the amount of time I was putting in stuff to even try and achieve photorealism. It wasn't satisfying to me, and instead I found that I really enjoy doing kind of stylized stuff. Not super stylized. It's not anime. I don't like anime. I don't like that style. But where it's kind of bold colors and people's faces aren't exactly absolutely perfect and stuff like that. I really like bold stuff, and I think that's part of the reason I kind of rediscovered my love for graffiti actually. I adore graffiti, and I remember being a little kid and seeing graffiti just here and there. Like if we'd go to see family in Chicago proper, you'd see a little bit of it here and there, not everywhere, but a little bit. And it interested me because growing up in suburbia, graffiti's all hoodlums and thugs, the inner city stuff, and it's associated a lot with those. But it is when it's not vandals with spray paint cans putting dicks on walls, 'cause that's just vandalism. When it's not that, graffiti is this really powerful form of artwork because it's anonymous artists trying to, you know, it's in a way kind of beautify the city, leave their mark on this urban space that is kind of robbed from them. I'm going to try not to get on too big of a soapbox because it can get really heavy really fast, but graffiti fascinates me because of the bold expressiveness of it and also the anonymity of the artists. You know, at most, the only people who know who did that tag are the police officers who may or may not have caught them. They don't post a sign, hey, this was made by so and so. The graffiti stays there. If it's on a train, it travels across the country and people see this awesome artwork and, we'll never know who did it at all. It's so cool and it requires a lot of dedication and skill to do it right. Uh, I only kind of rediscovered my love for it about July-ish or so. And so I've only really had 6 months to try and get my graffiti game at any sort of decency. But and so that's just and that's those are two simple examples of some of the stuff. And there's been a lot of internal stuff too, kind of, all right, what do I want to do with this? And how much do I want to dedicate myself to art? And I really rediscovered my love and passion for art. I remember even as I guess recent. It's weird to think about recent because I graduated 5 years ago, but even something as recent as goodness gracious, I'm losing my train of thought. Recent as high school, I was really into art. I would draw all the time, and that really fell by the wayside in college between time and friends and getting more into video gaming and stuff. And now I've rediscovered it, and I missed it so much. There has been so much rattling around in my head that I wanted to ultimately wanted to get out, and now I have. A lot of, and that's been also part of it too, is kind of getting to see stuff that I've kind of had in my head for a while, and I get to watch it come to life, or otherwise. Uh, I was gonna try and have my phone up and be perusing my gallery, but just trying to flick through some of these, just really simple stuff that I've wanted to do for a while. Like okay, during Inktober, October when I was drawing all those monsters, I drew a graboid, which is something really simple. That's fairly simple. It's from a movie. It's not even really original content, but I've never drawn a good graboid, and this year I did. I finally drew a graboid that I was really proud of. That's something simple and stupid, but it I want it to happen. I drew a golem in September, and I have had that mental image in my head for like the last 2+ years, and I finally got to make it a reality, which was tremendously rewarding, honestly. Uh, it was so cool to get to see this stuff, and I know it's not fantastic artwork, but it's something that I've wanted to make for a while, and so it matters to me. Gosh darn it. But then there's been some stuff that I think is kind of universally really cool. So, and I've gotten so many opportunities out of this. One of the biggest ones was that mural that I made in August, and that is the crowning jewel of this weird experience that I've had in 365 days of art. I don't care what I make for the next 27 days, because this is going up on the 4th. I don't care what I make for the next 27 days. Nothing will top a 21-foot long, 7-foot tall mural that my boss asked me to make. And that would never happen if I hadn't been doing this. If I hadn't been making a piece of art every day, I wouldn't have ended up mentioning it to my coworkers. I wouldn't have ended up, therefore, my boss wouldn't have seen that I'm not just doing art, but I'm trying to improve at it. He wouldn't have had the confidence to ask me, hey, Dave, do you want to make a mural for my pants reunion? And that was an amazing experience. 11 plus hours ish, not much more than 11, but still like 11-ish hours, spray painting almost continuously, except for lunch and a panicked run to the hardware store. And I got paid for that too, so I got commission, and then I got actually I guess before that, but I got another commission too because I was out spray painting some stuff behind the garages at the apartment and at my apartment, and one of my neighbors came by because he was out for a smoke and he's like, "Hey, I've seen some of the other stuff that you've done because I've done other stuff behind there. I really like it. Would you mind making a piece for my daughter?" And I'm like, "Yeah, totally, I'll do that." And then he ended up paying me for it, so I got commissioned off of that too. This coming year, I'm going to be submitting a graffiti piece to the Minnesota State Fair in hopes that they'll display it. Because if they can display 20 mediocre sweaters that people hand knit, I hope they can make room for one awesome graffiti piece. Fingers crossed, at least. So, and all these kind of things that I would never have even thought to do if I hadn't done this. It's given me a lot of confidence for Back Alley Magic. I am super excited to get started on that project. And that's what next year's going to be. And so I will say this now: I am not doing this next year. Um, I've gotten a few questions about that. No, 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 no. This is not happening next year. Next year is going to be focusing on my writing. I really want to finish my novel. I've been talking about finishing it for the last year and a half. Next year we'll make two, and I want to get the rough draft done next year. And then it's also going to be focusing on Back Alley Magic, which I'll start publishing in the back half of 2018 because I want to spend the front half ironing out the story, getting some initial comics done so that way I can have a bit of a buffer, so that way I can, make something worthwhile, at least as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah, and kind of just realizing a lot of those dreams and ambitions, which sounds very lofty, but it's also true. It has been just, it has been such a cool experience. Uh, and it's not just, last name, all the stuff that I get to see. It's getting interactions from people. It's been really cool to catch up with people here and there, and then they'll throw in, hey, I've seen the artwork every day. That's really cool. It's really cool that you're doing that. I like what you do, and that is so rewarding. It is rewarding beyond words, really. Because that, I'm doing this for myself. I have to, I can't escape that. Ultimately, I'm kind of doing this for myself. At least that's what the original intent was. I was doing this to get good enough, to feel that I was good enough to start publishing Back Alley Magic, start drawing it, to make it real. And and then having other people be like, yeah, this is cool. I really like this piece, or otherwise, it's just been it's such a rewarding, heartwarming feeling that I cannot put into proper words, because it's all of your effort is being recognized, and that is something that is very hard to overstate. It has also made me realize that some of these stereotypical tropes about artists are kind of true. Unfortunately, now after doing this, I occasionally fancy myself as something of an artist, and it is very true that occasionally they will come, they will produce something, and they will be like, "This is trash. This is garbage. I am the scum and salt of the earth. This is awful." And then they're thinking that internally, and people go, "Hey, this is actually really good. I really like this." And it's just like, "What? What do you mean? Do you see the garbage that I've produced?" Basically, is what it amounts to. That happened, I think, in February. I did a picture of a chef face palming, and behind him there was like a pizza on a lamp, with the implication that he threw the pizza up there while he was making it. And people loved that. For some reason, people loved that, and I hated it. I still hate that picture. That is still one of the least favorite pictures I have ever made, but people loved it. I suppose because it's kind of funny, and humor overrides all crappy art, which is probably something I should take note of as I do my webcomic. But little things like that. And then of course, there's been the opposite, where I love a piece that I've made, and the interactions have been far fewer. We'll put it gently that way. But regardless, thank you guys so much for being here for this. It means so much to me, and every interaction, every like on Facebook, on Instagram, every offhand comment, "Hey Dave, that was a cool piece to me the other day. I really liked it." It has depth and value that even if I sat and redid this 30 times, I could not come up with good words for. It is a feeling that is impossible to describe, because I sat down, I made something, and I just thrust it out there, and people liked it. It is such a rewarding feeling. And even for those of you who didn't interact, I know you're watching. Really, though, I know you're looking at it. That's a cool feeling, too. And I don't think many people unfollowed or unfriended me because of this. I hope not, at least. And so it's kind of cool. I did not notice a massive drop in my friend count or otherwise from doing this. So I'm almost out of time. Only got about a minute or so left. I think actually I managed to cover everything. I'm not, like I said, I'm not doing this next year. This was such an amazing experience, which now sounds offhand, but I'm just trying to make sure I got everything I wanted to. But yeah, no, this has been so cool, and I'm really glad I did it. I am so glad that I did this, but not so glad that I'm going to do it next year or any other further years. I guess with that, I will allow the video to close out on its own. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you all for being here, watching me on this journey. Honestly, even sometimes just watching is enough. And yeah, thank you guys so much, and take care.